We're going to focus on 2 new chapters out of Spirit of Intimacy. One is chapter 7, Marriage, 2 Worlds Together, and chapter 9, The Illusion of Romance. Before we get to the illusion of romance, let's talk about marriage. So one of the things that struck me, the first paragraph says, marriage is a way of taking the call of the Spirit further. It brings 2 souls, 2 purposes, 2 worlds together, and allows them to bring their gifts forward to benefit the community. Bay, when he read that, he called me. And he said that that paragraph changed how he was thinking about our relationship. When I read this paragraph, I thought a lot about past relationships and thinking very much how they weren't about benefiting the community. They were like about filling some hole or some gap or desire for my own self-esteem or edification, or even worse, like breaking down my own self-esteem or edification. But it was not thinking about, oh, me and you coming together will be of benefit to our community.
I feel like this book is the first book that I have ever read that has made me think about marriage as something that is of benefit to the community. Honestly, I really thought, and probably in many ways still think about relationships the way that you just, defined, is about it being about what am I getting out of it, or what are you getting out of it, or what are we, all about me and this person, and not necessarily, although, I've had ideas in my mind about what we can offer, our talents and the things that, and I'm always kind of trying to be like, babe, let's do something where we, are creating something to put out. But that's never the message that I got from anything having to do with relationship advice or the self-help sections about marriage. Never nothing about giving to the community. At least, I never got that message.
So on page 69, she writes, in the indigenous context of Africa, the concept that each one of us comes into this world for a purpose determines who we eventually enter into a relationship with. Certain purposes are more or less similar. Some are very much alike. This is where you go and look for a possibility of a relationship. Selecting a partner is the business of the elders, who, because they know everybody in the village, know everyone's purpose, and are best equipped to understand who can go with whom within the community. This requires a great deal of trust and places a lot of burden on the elders. If a marriage doesn't work, they have to figure out a way to correct it through ritual. So what I thought, because we don't have this community build up, right? Like, I've always admired arranged marriages. I'd probably be happier if somebody just arranged who I would be with. Like, you'd be like, no, that's who you're gonna be with. Figure that shit out. And I've realized that marriage is simply 2 people deciding, I'm gonna figure your shit out. I'm deciding that you are the person that I'm gonna deal, because everybody got shit. And everybody's shit stinks.
And you know how I always would tell you that I would joke with Francis, and I'd be like, babe, we need to just get married so that it'll be harder for us to break up if we have some dumb shit or some quarrel, well, we have to figure it out. We're married now.
So one is like figuring out your purpose, which I think is so amazing, because so many of us don't know our purpose. And in this very superficial world, we're all chasing the same kind of purpose. And so, I know for a fact the work that I do to earn a living is me living my purpose. I know that. But I know that the work you're doing isn't about your purpose.
I think it's part of it, but it's not the absolute.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no.
That's what I was like, what part is it? The work that you do that gives you a paycheck.
No, my day job is not.
That's what I'm talking about. Your day job that gives you a paycheck. I know my day job that gives me a paycheck is me living my purpose. And I also know that my current partner is in alignment with that purpose. I have a couple, Brian and Larry Favors. From the first time I met them, I met Brian, he's amazing, he's in my field, he does a lot of work around race, power, privilege, education, black people loving us, building us up. And I met Brian and was like, oh my God, he's amazing. And then I met his wife and was like, oh my God, she's more amazing than you. And I've looked at their little family. They have 2 children. I looked at the organizations that they run, the work that they do. When you see them together, you're like, look at 2 people who are equally yoked. And I never thought that was a possibility for me. I just thought like, wow.
That's great out there.
Look at those 2 people.
Right.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. I never even considered it to be a possibility that I could be with somebody who I was equally yoked with in that way and connected to a purpose that benefited Black people.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me. And the first time it occurred to me is with my current boo. Like, that's because he's so focused on the benefit of Black people too. And I'm like, what? What? You understand my work? What? You do the work I do? We do the same work? What is that? So I think that's the first thing, right? So many of us don't know what our purpose is.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what our purpose is, then how do you partner with someone who helps?
Right, and because also we don't even ever, like, in America, that's not why we get together with people. We don't think like, oh, I have to, connect with somebody who is in alignment with my purpose. It's about the illusion of,
Well, I think in white America. I think in Asian America, in Middle Eastern America, and Indian America, and Latino America. I think that they get community. I think that they get community.
Yes.
And so it's like purpose or community. Either way will get you there. But because they get community, then they understand their responsibility to community.
Right, and that connects to purpose.
And that connects to purpose, and that connects to who you partner with. Because they're very big on familial ties.
Mm-hmm.
How do you take care of your family? Family is first. Because of our trauma in this country, we don't have community, we don't have purpose. And therefore choosing a partner, and everything for white people has already been framed for them. So it's their purpose is to maintain what has already been given to you.
Right.
We ain't got none of it.
Right.
So we don't have purpose, we don't have community. Then how do we choose?
How do we choose a partner?
A partner. And what I get from this book is that we don't choose our partners. I mean, we do, but that's what you have elders for.
Right.
Or at the very least, if you choose, when you bring them into the community goes, nah,
they
homie.
can vet them.
Or yeah, homie.
Yeah.
In indigenous context, because you don't follow romance as a guide to marriage, partners know the true identity of the other. You know the strengths and the weaknesses of the person you are going to marry. That way you won't wonder 10 years down the road whether you married the right person or their ghosts. People think when they say yes once, it means yes forever. But in the indigenous context, no. That's why you have to constantly renew your vows, whether it's once a year or when somebody else is getting married. If a couple renew their vow at least once a year and are also able to do ritual constantly to strengthen their connection to spirit and acknowledge each other's spirits, their marriage will never denigrate into weakness. She goes on to say, in the Tagara community, marriage is not a private matter. It is not just 2 individuals getting married. In fact, when a couple gets married, they create an occasion for other people to renew their vows and to get married once again at the same time. Sharing the wedding is a way of enlisting support for when problems start to hit. And I thought about, like, have you ever been to an African wedding?
No, I haven't.
And I say African and that's disrespectful, but like, Ghanaian, Nigerian, like, girl, it's days and it's hundreds of people. It is like everybody. I mean, but I remember your wedding and you being like having some tension with Francis's parents, they're Haitian, and all of the people that needed to come to the wedding.
I mean, when you were reading this, and I was thinking about how it's a celebration of other people, renewing their vows. I just remember, and I love my wedding. Like, it was just such a celebration. It was like a party. It was fun. Yes. And the other thing that I can remember is seeing the married couples in my husband's family, and them. I could kind of just see them kind of flashbacking, and it just made it was really moving. I had friends who got married after that, and like a cousin who I went to her, she came to my wedding and then she got married and I went to her shower, and I could see how it inspires and brings up, you know, the commitment and, you know, being together and making, you know, vows, and how that branches off. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I loved it so much. And just thinking about the renewing of the vows, because they have vow renewals. We have that in our society. But I was just
but you
thinking
only do
about
it like
how,
20 years, 50
right,
years,
right.
8
It's
years.
not every year. And I was thinking in this because we just had our 3rd year anniversary, and I was telling Francis that I was looking up the, you know, the traditional
paper.
Leather.
Leather.
Leather was the 3rd one. This goes right to the heart of what renewing your vows is about remembering the spirit that brought you together. In the West, it's about like gift giving and exchanging. Oh, what am I getting? Diamonds? Am I getting like whatever? But when I read the actual purpose for each one, like for leather, paper is just like the first year because it's fragile and it can be torn apart and it hasn't been tested.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is cotton, I think, and that has something to do with the binding and how it still can like be pulled apart, but it's a binding. Mm-hmm. And then leather is just like recognizing that the marriage is something that you can depend upon, you know, that you can kind of, and I was just like, oh shit, like these things really have meaning. And that meaning is what's important. And the meaning of like renewing your vows to remember why you came together isn't something that, like he said, it doesn't happen until like you're done. I don't know, like the diamond anniversary or like
25 or
something
50,
happens or whatever. But
Yeah.
doing it every single year and imagining having a whole community come together.
And she talks
around
about
it.
once a
That's
year is
some
not
seriousness.
enough. Once a year is not enough. That there is a constant. We'll talk about that in the 3rd installment. Ritual, you know, she's like, there's a weekly ritual, there's a monthly ritual, because things build up. So I hope you come to join us August 13th, where we're going to talk about ritual and intimacy, and it will be our 3rd and final Soul Sister Series Spirit of Intimacy event. Now we will have more events. We wanted to spend this summer really digging into the Spirit of Intimacy.
Soul Sister Series, in pursuit of a pleasure-filled life, though shit keeps on happening.